Good evening everyone, and then welcome to my YouTube channel. So tonight I'm gonna share with you my experience in analyzing the real estate market in Sofia in Bulgaria. So my name is Boris, and then on a daily basis I work in a large financial services company, and then I also help my parents in their family business to diversify their portfolio in different investments and in different places. So a couple of things about who kind of helped me to do this presentation. First of all, it's been great that I managed to find so much information about the real estate market on the internet, and also obviously this does not constitute any form or shape of investment advice. So let's think about real estate. Real estate is that sort of an asset that cannot be lost or stolen, and it cannot be carried away. So if you buy real estate with common sense, this is something that is about the safest investment in the world. So this is something that I'm not saying myself, but it's a quote from Franklin D. Roosevelt, who used to be a president of the United States of America. What we're gonna look at today is how do direct real estate investments compare with the stock market. What are the most common methods of valuing real estate that our family company has used while looking for a property in Sofia. Then I'm gonna go over a couple of statistics about the residential real estate market in Sofia, and then we're going to do some market data and analysis, and we will come up with a value investment case. So yeah, how does real estate investment compares with stock investments? So real estate offers you leverage and gives you the opportunity to own and manage a real asset. This is important to kind of know you can own and manage a real asset. Hopefully it produces a cash flow that does not require too much of your attention. It gives you a position of controlling the asset, and hopefully it does have a lower market volatility than the stock markets. This is arguable though. When it comes to stocks, they do offer you plenty of liquidity because you can go to buy and sell a stock on an exchange, and then there are plenty of exchanges around the world. There is a lot of public information about public companies because they have to disclose, they have the obligation to disclose their data and their practices, so on and so forth. In many cases, the stock market over a certain period of time performs better than the real estate market. There is plenty of transparent regulation, and all the public companies, as you can probably notice, are professionally managed, and often they offer you a lower transaction fees. So the methods that I used valuing a couple of pieces of real estate for our family company this year are very common really. So I looked at learning to first understand what these methods are, and then how they can help us eventually know what is the sort of real property value of the kind of options that we were looking at. First, we used a cap rate. So the cap rate is essentially the annual net income that a property can produce divided by the property value. This is known as rental yield in the UK, and then here I have to explain what is a annual net income from a property. So the annual net income from a property is not to be confused with the gross income. So the gross income from a property is generally all the cash flows that you collect in the form of rent. So this is the gross income. That net income is all that gross income minus all the building charges that you have, the maintenance charges that you have, local taxes, any maintenance works, any improvement works, etc. So often there is a difference between both. The second method that I looked at when valuing, or rather trying to value professionally a couple of properties, is the build-up method. So the build-up method consists in evaluating how much would it cost you today to build the exact same property in the exact same place, with including land and building permission costs, and then all the materials of equal quality in the same neighborhood. And also I looked at the GRM method, which is the gross rent multiplier, and it tries to estimate the total number of rents that the property can produce. So the third and the second method, they are rather approximative. However, they can be used. They can be used in order for you to really think about what are you doing with your money, and then how are you investing, and to find out what to kind of build understanding about the property that you want to buy, right? So let's look at real estate in Sofia in Bulgaria. So Sofia is the capital of Bulgaria, is the largest city. It is essentially the economic center of the country. And then what this place does offer? It does offer you an euro-denominated cash flow because of the fact that the currency is pegged with the euro. It gives you the opportunity to have capital appreciation, or at least that's the city legend, that it gives you the opportunity to have capital appreciation, which should normally be driven by local economic and population growth. In a bit we'll have a look at the statistics, and then we'll be much more objective, and then I'll let you kind of make up your own mind about that. Then Sofia is the place as a capital that naturally gets the most significant amount of the national infrastructure spent in Bulgaria. So this is something that can hopefully drive value in the real estate market. And also it's one of these few cities in Europe that offers numerous recreational possibilities. What I mean by that is the fact that in the city you have a number of local springs with mineral water. There are a number of spas, and then also it's one of the very few cities in Europe where you have the possibility to go on the ski slopes using the city transport. It also is one of those places in Eastern Europe that is benefiting from booming tourism, driven by the air traffic, and second by the fact that the Bulgarian Republic is a member of the EU, and it does have, I think that we allow about 150 nations to come visa-free for a couple of days, and then enjoy our heritage and see our history, perhaps party, whatever. Then at the moment, what is true about the real estate in Sofia and generally the economy in Bulgaria is that we are at a very high point of the economic cycle. So it can be really challenging to find a good residential property with right valuation. The real estate market in Sofia also offers higher liquidity than other places in Bulgaria. This is natural, and it's due to the fact that the part of population that lives in Sofia, and then the expats that it attracts, are much more significant than the other cities in Bulgaria, which so for some of them, or actually most of them, are actually experiencing what is known as negative growth. And also in Bulgaria, there are, especially in Sofia, there are a number of institutional investments with a long-term view and investment horizon. So when it comes to analyzing the market data and then looking at the statistics, so this chart that we are looking at the moment represents the number of construction permits issued for new buildings, new residential buildings in Sofia on a quarterly basis from 2005 until 2018. So this chart shows you very well how the number of new permits has changed over time. You can clearly see over here what the levels were around 2007-2008, where we had a real estate crisis in Bulgaria, and then we had a crash, where they are today, and then where they have been in between. It is an interesting statistic because usually there is a lag of where the real estate market is today and then where it is going to be in 18 months, and it can be used as a measure to estimate where the market is going to be within 18 months. Why I'm saying 18 months? It's usually the kind of time frame that is necessary to build a residential building in Bulgaria, given the severe winters. So then when I look at the number of properties in construction, and then the statistic that we have here is from 2010, and it comes from the National Statistical Institute. I did the graph myself by downloading the data. You can see that the construction activity has been at way lower levels over the last kind of from 2010 until the end of 2014, beginning of 2015, and after that, we will see later due to what, but due to something, it starts to boom and then grow very significantly. Then when we start looking at the number of visitors in Sofia, I was talking about tourism a couple of minutes ago. We can once again, data coming from the National Statistical Institute that I downloaded and built a spreadsheet for, shows you that the number of visitors in the Bulgarian capital from 2008 until 2018 has been consistently growing on both on the foreigner side and then on the Bulgarian side, with the slight exception of the 2008-2009, where the world was essentially in recession, and then there were much less Bulgarians, for example, going to Sofia, but many more foreigners. Today the city, and then actually for 2018, this is the data for the first 3 quarters, because when I was downloading it, and the latest quarter data was not available, I think it's due at some point in February 2019. So quite a few visitors in the city, as you can see. Also, when we look at the revenues in Sofia, in Bulgaria, they have been consistently raising over the last 10 years, and then one thing to be noted and to be written down is the fact that in Bulgaria there is a lot of grey economy, and then the grey economy means that the numbers actually reported by the National Statistics Institute are kind of approximative, because there is a lot of work that is not declared to the state and people get paid for. Obviously, when it comes to trying to do a bit of stress testing and then seeing where the population of 1.3 million today of Sofia is gonna go in the next 20-30 years, you do have a couple of graphs here representing that the fact that no matter what happens with internal demographics in Bulgaria, the city is gonna keep growing. The question is the rate at which it's gonna grow. If the progress, if there are less people going to Sofia, is gonna reach 1.4 million inhabitants by 2045. If not, it's gonna be way faster, and then the number of people living there is gonna be way bigger, which essentially is going to drive the demand for residential real estate, something that people can look at if their investment horizon is 10 years plus. Next thing that we are looking is the number of kind of people today in Sofia in historical perspective. So the first data that we've got is from 2002, as you can see. So the capital population at that time was slightly over 1.1 million people registered in the capital, and today it's around 1.3. So it means that 200,000 people have changed their address registration to the Bulgarian capital. This does not include the internally migrated people who have not changed their registration. and there are quite a few of those. When it comes to another important piece of the market data analysis, how the prices of Bulgarian real estate on a have evolved on a square meter basis in the Bulgarian capital. So this is average for the capital, and then it does take into consideration the good neighborhoods, the bad neighborhoods, the city center, the expensive areas, absolutely everything. We can see that the prices have peaked 2007-2008 at around 1.2 thousand euros per square meter. Today we are, as of the third quarter in 2018, we are around the 1,000 mark, probably slightly above. This tells you that the market is very hot at the moment, and you should be looking at you should be looking at many drivers in order to understand where it is. This is how the prices of real estate have grown from 2010 until the third quarter of 2018. There has been some negative growth in 2009 and 2010 up to 2011 third quarter, and then after that positive, and now prices have actually started to slow their growth, which is an interesting statistic, perhaps indicating the fact that the market is going to turn at some point and buyers will be in a position to call the shots. No one knows. Anyway, here we can, on that chart, the data also comes from the Bulgarian Statistical Institute. We can see the housing price affordability in Sofia. And this ratio has essentially dropped, reflecting the fact that prices have significantly increased, and then it's more challenging for people to own their own property. Then here we are looking at the Bulgarian CPI, where it has been around 2010, where it has been in 2014, and then where it is today. What are we seeing here is the fact that over the period of when real estate prices did not grow very quickly, there was low inflation or negative inflation, and over the period when they started kind of taking off, the inflation was in positive terms, as you can see in that bit of the chart. The data comes from trading economics, by the way, over here. This is an interesting piece of data, and then it shows the number of corporate loans, and then the number of home loans, as well as the number of bad loans in Bulgaria. We can see that both corporate loans and then mortgages are growing up, and then growing up very significantly from 2016 to these dates in percentage terms on an annual basis, and then that the bad credits are going down, indicating the fact that there is positive economic activity in Bulgaria. So on these slides you can see a lot of market data. So this comes from emot.bg, which is essentially the largest database for Bulgarian real estate, and it gives you a sense of where the prices for a one-bedroom property per square meter in Sofia have been from 2003 until today. Here we are looking at the same graph, but for the actual value of the property, the exact same property in the exact same area, like a prime area of the Bulgarian capital. Then over here you can kind of find how the monthly rent has evolved over the same period of time, when they have been at its peak, and then where they have been at its low, and then what's the variation. This is something that can potentially be used to find out to kind of stress test your purchase, should you be willing to participate in the market, something that we eventually did. Then you can go and then have a look at the ratio of price of the property versus an annual rent, how much it is, where it is, essentially a measure of how long it's going to take for you to pay back your investment. The presentation also contains another around 20 different pieces of data that can help you to analyze the market of residential real estate in Sofia, and then eventually come up with your own decision to whether to or whether not to go and participate in that market. This is a piece of research that I did for my parents. They asked me to help them analyze the market and eventually decide whether to or whether not to go and buy a property in Sofia to diversify their portfolio. So this is why there are a couple of slides around what a value investment case could be, how to build a stress testing tool, and there's actually one stress testing tool that I did build in Excel, and also there's a potential action plan of what needs to be done, and then what is the process of acquiring a property in Bulgaria via a company. These are things that I can share with you, and then you can actually go and download the presentation itself from my blog, which is www.borisgrozev.com. But I don't feel it's sensible to do that over YouTube, simply because I don't want to I don't want to give investment advice. It's not my job. I just want to share my experience and eventually bring you value, and then help you with your investments, and then with your decision to eventually reach financial independence, something that my parents have done, and then I'm trying to apply in my life as well, and then eventually reach a point where I have a couple of different revenue streams that bring me enough cash flow to support the lifestyle that I want to have, and then also give me the opportunity to have enough free time or time to myself that I can dispose of. So I hope that this little video brings value to you. Feel free to share your feedback and then tell me what you think about the presentation. Go and read the article on my blog as well. It does have quite a bit of information, perhaps a little more than the video. And then also you can go and listen to my podcast that you can find below the video, and then eventually find a little more about the investment case, and then how my parents came up with the idea of buying a property in Sofia, and then why they liked it, and then how I helped them, and then what we eventually did. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for watching the video, and feel free to let me know how are your investments doing, and then where are the hot destinations for real estate investments. Thank you.